It starts with something small. You stop sleeping properly. Nothing dramatic. A few weeks of 5 hours instead of 7. Then, the day gets harder to hold. Your patience runs shorter than it used to. You snap at something that would not normally reach you. Your concentration slips at exactly the hour you need it. So you make a decision you would not have made rested. A small one. Then another. Work starts to suffer. Not visibly at first, just slower, just later, just not your best. Money follows work. It always does. The pressure builds quietly in the background of every day. And a person under money pressure is a different person at home. Shorter, further away, harder to reach. So things get tense with the people closest to you. And now home is not the place you recover. It is a second place you are failing. The stress rises. And your sleep, which was the only thing wrong 6 weeks ago, gets worse. One problem became 6, and you never made a single obviously wrong choice. There is a name for what just happened. Most people have lived it without ever hearing it. Most of us picture life as a set of separate compartments. Health in one, money in another, relationships somewhere else. Career, confidence, family, each in its own box with its own problems and its own answers. We do that because it makes life easier to think about. It is not how life actually works. Life is not a set of compartments. It is a system. Every important part of it is connected to every other part, and connected means load-bearing. What happens in one runs through the rest whether you agree to it or not. Which means a failure never stays where it lands. It moves. It moves along connections that were always there, that nobody looks at while things are working. So when people say everything fell apart at once, that is not what happened. Nothing falls apart at once. One thing falls, and then it travels, and it keeps traveling until something stops it. This is the domino effect of life. And it explains more than almost anything else people are told about their own problems. If you have ever looked back at a bad year and could not work out where it began, stay with this. It goes somewhere. Watch how many doors this thing has. It does not need to start with sleep. Sleep was just one example. The chain runs the same way whichever domino goes first. Start it with money instead. An unexpected bill. A contract that does not renew. A quiet month in a business that is usually fine. For about a week, it is a money problem. Then it stops being one. The mind starts doing arithmetic at 2 in the morning, so the sleep goes. Small disagreements at home turn into arguments because there is no slack left for small disagreements. You stop going to the doctor about the thing in your shoulder because the shoulder can wait and the money cannot. Money, sleep, marriage, health. 4 areas, 1 event. Or start it with a relationship. Somebody leaves, somebody lies to you. A marriage that took years to build comes apart in a season. Motivation goes first, and motivation was doing more work than anyone realized. So you stop exercising. Then you stop cooking properly and start eating whatever is nearest. Work performance drops because grief is expensive and it takes the same attention your job wanted. And the worst part of that particular chain is what it does to company. You pull away from the exact people who would have caught you. Not out of self-pity, it is simpler than that. Explaining is exhausting, so you stop explaining, and then you stop being asked. Or start it with health. A diagnosis. An injury that does not heal on schedule. Something that will take a year. Work bends around it. Income bends around work. Confidence goes, because confidence in most people is not a belief about themselves. It is a memory of recent evidence, and there has not been any lately. And a person with no confidence makes cautious, small, defensive decisions, and those decisions cost money, and now you are back at the start of the money chain. Different door, same house. That is the thing worth sitting with. It does not matter much which domino goes first. The connections do not care where the push came from. Now, why can nobody see this while it is happening? Because the compartments feel real from the inside. That is the honest answer. The money problem feels like a money problem. It has its own worries, its own numbers, its own conversations. The trouble at home feels like trouble at home, with its own history and its own arguments. Nothing about them announces that they are the same event in two places. So a person with 6 problems experiences 6 problems, not one problem in 6 rooms. And 6 problems is a different thing to face than 1. 6 problems means fighting on 6 fronts at once, badly, moving nothing. That is where the exhaustion comes from. Not from the size of what happened, from the number of places it turned up. And this leads to the question almost everybody asks, which is the wrong one. Why is everything going wrong? That question has no answer. It cannot have one, because it assumes many separate causes, and there were not many. You can spend years on that question. People do. The better question is different by one word, and it changes everything. Why do problems spread? Because that question has an answer, and anything with an answer can be worked on. Which brings us to the part that decides most of it. Why does the first domino fall? Not the philosophical version, the practical one, because it is rarely random, and it is almost never bad luck alone. The first domino falls where you are thinnest. Everyone has a weak area, the place with no margin in it. For one person it is money, and there is nothing behind the monthly number, so one bad month is not a bad month, it is a crisis. For another, the money is fine, but the body has been ignored for 11 years, and the first real demand made of it does not get met. For someone else, the weak point is nerve. They can absorb almost anything except being disliked, so the moment a situation requires them to say a hard thing, they do not say it. And everything downstream of that unsaid thing goes wrong. And this is why 2 people meet the same event and get completely different outcomes. Same lost job. One of them has 3 months of money, sleeps fine, and tells his wife the same evening. It is a hard 6 weeks. It stays a hard 6 weeks. The other has nothing behind him, has not slept properly in a year, and says nothing at home for 9 days. Same event. One life absorbs it. The other transmits it. So the event is not the story. It was never the story. The event only reveals what was already thin. And thin is not a character flaw. Nobody is thick everywhere. There is not enough time or attention in one life to be strong in every direction at once. So everybody is carrying at least one area that has been quietly running on nothing for years. Usually, it is an area that has not been tested lately, which is exactly why it felt safe to neglect, which is uncomfortable and also the most useful thing here. Because events are not yours to control, and thinness is. Now the other side of this, and it is the reason any of it is worth 20 minutes. If weakness spreads along these lines, so does strength. The same connections work in both directions. The system that carried the failure will carry the recovery, and it will carry it through the same rooms. Fix sleep, and it does not stay in sleep. It shows up in your patience by the 2nd week. It shows up in your judgment, and judgment is what most money problems are actually made of. It shows up in how you speak to people at 7 in the morning. But I want to be honest about how this works, because the encouraging version of it is not true. Strength does not spread the way weakness does. Weakness spreads by itself. It needs nothing from you. You can be asleep and it will still be moving, because it runs downhill and it never gets tired. Strength does not do that. It only travels if you carry it. Every step of it is deliberate, and none of it happens while you are not looking. And it is slower, considerably. A marriage can go quiet in 4 months and take 3 years to come back. A body can be wrecked in a season and rebuilt over 2. That gap is not a detail. It is why people give up on the reverse chain. They expect it to move at the speed the collapse moved, and it does not. and they read the slowness as proof it is not working. It is working. It is just uphill, and it was always going to be. And there is something specific that strength does, which is worth being precise about, because it is not what people assume. Strength does not stop the first domino. Nothing stops the first domino. The bill still arrives. The diagnosis is still the diagnosis. What strength does is catch the second one. Run the money chain again, with one thick link in it. The contract still falls through. That part is identical. But this time there is a little money behind you, so the arithmetic at 2 in the morning does not happen. So the sleep holds. And because the sleep holds, the patience holds. And because the patience holds, nothing crosses into the house. Now it is a money problem. Only a money problem. Hard, unwelcome, and confined. That is the whole difference between a bad few months and a bad few years. Not the size of the first event, whether anything downstream was strong enough to refuse it. And you will never get thanked for the ones that get caught. That is the quiet unfairness in this. A chain that never spread leaves no evidence behind. Nobody tells you the story of the year that stayed small. So what actually helps? Not fixing everything. That is not available, and anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something. It means choosing what to make thick, on purpose, before it is tested. And a few things earn that place, because damage runs through them more than anywhere else. Sleep, because almost every chain in this video passed through it, and because it is the cheapest thing on the list to protect. Health, because a body that cannot meet a demand will hand the demand to every other area. Clear thinking, because most of what people call bad luck is a decision made tired or made scared. Nerve, because the unsaid thing is where the damage crosses from one room into the next more often than anything else. And some money behind you, whatever amount is possible, because money behind you is what turns a crisis back into an event. And there is a reason those 5 and not others. They are the load-bearing ones. Everything else in a life leans on them at some point, which means damage passes through them on its way to somewhere else. Strengthen something that nothing leans on, and you have built a very good wall in the middle of a field. There is also an order to it, and it is not the order most people choose. People strengthen the area that is currently hurting. That is understandable, and it is usually wrong, because the area that hurts is often just where the damage came out, not where it travels. The thing to thicken is whichever one everything else in your life is standing on. For most people, that is not the loudest one. And the last thing, which matters more than the list. Early is not slightly better. It is a different job entirely. Week 1 has one problem in it. 1. Month 6 has your sleep, your work, your money, your marriage, and your health, and a person who has started to believe this is simply how their life goes now. Same original event. 5 times the work, and some of it no longer available at any price. So the aim was never a life where nothing goes wrong. Things go wrong. A bill, a diagnosis, a phone call, a company making a decision on a Tuesday that has nothing to do with you. That part is not anybody's to control, and building your life as though it is will fail. The aim is narrower, and it is actually possible. Be built well enough that when the thing comes, it stays one thing. So here is what I would ask, and I would rather have one real answer than 100 people agreeing. Where are you thin right now? Not where things are going wrong, where there is no margin. The place that would not survive one bad month. Most people know immediately. That is usually the strange part. Put it in the comments if you can stand to. And if this put words on something you have felt for years without ever quite saying it, stay around. That is most of what happens here.